on their fin looked just like the toes of an elephant. And I never saw one so up close where I could actually touch it and see
Yeah.
what it was like.
And it was
And how
soft?
softly they would take things out of my hand.
Oh, really?
They don't have teeth and such. They munch on seagrass and Bledson type things. It's more of a munching, so they just kind of suck. Oh, no, it's soft against your hand when they take it.
With their mouth?
And
Oh my goodness.
So you would teach them. They would do a trick or something with me, and then they'd give me pieces of apple so I could feed it because it did it right.
Yeah.
And because they were training them to do these things, and then they let me train because that's what I paid for, to go in with the trainers during a training session.
Oh, yeah.
So I could see them and get to know them better.
Oh.
And
like
so that was so neat.
Nice.
My other one was down in Freeport, the Bahamas. Bahamas when in Nassau. Nassau has a marvelous place. You've got your big hotel and stuff. Our cruise ship was next to that. And they had little boats there. They have a dolphin island just off of that, of Nassau. And what they did, really neat, it's got like a little river cut through the island, and they put wire but bigger, the poles were bigger across both ends of where the stream of the water comes through.
Yeah.
And so that, and they have their dolphins in there. And the show and stuff is in one area, and then over on the other side they've got where they're training them too. And it's neat because fish swim through this water flowing through the little island.
Yeah.
But that keeps this big screen net-like thing keeps the dolphins in this middle area and the island. And but you have fish swimming through.
That is like a little channel when the mangoes go high tide, they can come in, right? Then they put the net.
Yeah.
So
they lower.
The fish were swimming through so they could catch their own food and stuff for fish swimming through the channel that went through this island.
Yeah.
But it kept them in a safe, enclosed place. So when we went out in the boat, and it stops there to where all the tourists get off.
Yeah.
And you can go down to see the show that the dolphins put on. And then if you paid for it, you can go down on the platform. You're standing in like waist deep water, and the dolphins swim up to you, and you can pet them, and they'll hold their flippers, and they'll make their sounds to you, and you can feed them and stuff. But the place that they trained them, right across from that, back in there.
Yeah.
People can't go to that area. And you go down off of a dock by a ladder, and it's like a big pond, like it's all fresh water and flowing through. And that's where they teach them their tricks and how to do things.
Yeah.
And so I paid to go in with, there was 2 trainers there also. So they were teaching us, because they're putting them through their paces of different hand signals for the dolphin to do certain things.
Yeah.
So, like one trainer was on the dock, and they're telling us, showing us what hand signal to make them do certain things, so we can do that with them, and to get them to do it. And it's funny, they said now they'll follow you. Anything you do, they're going to do.
Really?
So if you're swimming on your stomach, they're going to come up and swim along next to you. If you turn over in your back, they'll turn over on their backs. If you dive down, they'll dive down with you right next to you and come back up with you.
Can you
so
ride?
They said they will do anything that they'll copy you.
Yeah.
Wow,
And
he's
so
thinking
I was
really smart.
I
Wow.
was doing that. I spent over an hour in with the dolphins. But the most fascinating thing was, in the trainer said it was very different because I did things that no one else has been able to do, including them. One of the dolphins had a baby, and so she was keeping the baby back here by her side fin, so the baby was always following her around.
Yeah.
The baby had not brought, the dolphin hadn't brought her baby up to the trainers yet. She came and did things with them, but she always kept the baby on the opposite side of her from the trainers here. And so the baby came with her, and she was copying my going up and down and everything and swimming the same way, and but the baby was on her other side. And she was doing that with me for probably 20 minutes or more, different things. And then all of a sudden, she turns around and comes, and the baby's next to me.
Oh, really?
So I looked at her and I
Baby
said, "What a
is.
beautiful baby you've got,"
Yeah.
and stuff. And she came and she rolled over, and the baby, she pushed the baby with her fin, and it rolled over. And so I petted the baby. And they said no one had touched the baby yet but me, but she kept bringing the baby to me.
Yes.
And she'd be right there next to us. I mean, so she's watching everything that's happening.
Oh.
But she saw that I wasn't bothered or hurting the baby or nothing, so
Yeah,
she just kept
she
bringing
did.
it to me
Oh.
and letting me see it. And and it was funny, when the first dolphins were coming up, and I could reach out and touch them and so on. And there were two Asian girls. And they so wanted to see the dolphin, but they were afraid of them. So when I had a dolphin in front, and I was petting the dolphin, rubbing its side, they came up behind me. And the Asian girls would reach past my side, staying behind me, but reaching by and to touch the dolphin. They were making sure I was between them and the dolphin.
Oh, they were frightened
because
of.
they were so afraid of the dolphin that
Oh,
they
my
wouldn't
goodness.
come around, so the dolphin was next to them. They were hiding behind my back and reached through to touch him.
Wow.
And when we got done, I let them get out because of all the trouble with my knees and everything. That climbing up a ladder, I'm going to go a lot slower where they can pop right up the ladder.
Yeah.
So I just waited for them to go up first because I knew I was going to be slower going up. And so they had all gotten out. And I came over to the ladder. I was waiting to turn, and the dolphin came up behind me. And then as I moved towards the ladder, and I was only about 5 feet away, she brought the baby right up between me and the ladder. And then she let me pet the baby again.
Really?
And then she moved on over and let me go up the ladder. But she came over like blocking me from going up the ladder until I said something to her again and touched her.
Isn't that something?
They were snapping some pictures, they said, because no one's going to believe us that you were able to do this with this dolphin and this baby.
Wow. Did it feel interesting? Did it
The
feel?
baby was only about 2 weeks old. I mean, it was a small baby.
How big was it?
That long.
Oh wow! Really? Oh my gosh! Did it feel different in some way, or?
It's about the same.
Yeah, like everything's kind of
Yeah.
just a smaller version of the.
Yeah, a little.
Oh my goodness!
Dolphin.
Ah,
I wasn't here until, I don't know what time
3.
I get back, about 3 o'clock
Yeah. 3-ish.
or so when I got back. So it wasn't on after I got back. But then I came in and sat down because I was completely wore out. So I made Alan a drink and we both sat in here and talked. But I didn't notice it coming on.
I don't think it did.
I didn't see anything wet out there.
I thank you for everyone who's
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, so dolphins are my very, dolphins and raccoons are
Yes.
my favorite, very favorite things. With all the raccoons I raised.
Yeah.
3 sets of 2 and 1 by himself. Sammy.
Sammy.
But the others, the twins and stuff that I had, that they brought to me where the parent had been killed, hit by a car or whatever, and the babies were found by that. And I fed them with baby bottles and everything and then I let them go. That was in Rhode Island. Rita was at the university, and we had the stream through the woods back behind us. There was a pasture and then a stream, a hill like. And I took them back and let them loose there. Then when they're able to feed and take care of themselves, except for Sammy. And Sammy was in Ohio, next to there was a stream next to where we were, back by our house at Bill, where we were back by the apple orchard. And that one also had its mother killed. And so I was raising it, but it was one. And fed it with a little doll bottle, baby doll,
Yes.
bottle and stuff. And hold them just like you would a baby, upside down, and they help hold the bottle with their front paws, and because they have thumbs, they can wrap around and touch and hold things like a person. And of course, my king, my shepherd I had then, he just thought that little baby was his too. So the raccoon baby, it would lay down and push the baby around so it slept in between his front paws, and he'd have its head next to it. And that's how they slept. And it was funny because shepherds, big dogs like that, you gotta make sure your toilet's always flushed because they like to drink water out of the toilet.
Yeah.
So the little raccoon would follow him in when he'd go to get a drink. And the raccoon would climb up and hold onto the toilet seat with its back paws, put its head down and drink right next to King's head.
Oh, wow.
At the same time, you know. And it was funny when he started to get in the cupboards, because they're curious and they want to see and feel everything. And he started opening the cupboard doors. So I'd say no. And once or twice I gave him a pat in the bottom. No.
Yeah.
So I let him go to one cupboard, and that's where my canned goods was, on the floor, down by the floor. And so he learned that was all right with me. He could open that cupboard door and look at all those cans in there. And he would sit for 2 hours. He'd lift each can out one by one, tip it all around and look at it in his paws, and he would put it down, and he'd reach and get another can out. And the same thing, he would spend several minutes looking at the pictures on it, tipping it all around, put it down, and reach for another one. All I had to do is put all my cans back in the cupboard every day, because every day this was part of his day, because he could open that door and look at all the cans in there. And he was quite the thing. It was followed me everywhere, just like a puppy dog. I couldn't walk anywhere without him trotting right along behind me. And if I sat down, he was up in my lap, wanting to be cuddled. And so and it was funny, the first snow we had, and of course King went out, my dog, so he was following King outside, because he'd go out with the dog and come back in with the dog, you know, not tied on a leash or anything. He'd go where King went.
Yeah.
And so he went out, and then this cold, wet snow on his feet, and he looked at it, he sniffed it, and then he scooped it up in his little paw, and he's sniffing it, and he's looking at it, and he's holding it in his warm paw, so it's starting to melt. And he's trying to figure out what in the world is. He's never seen what snow was before.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what it was. It was so funny. And I moved his cage downstairs by the garage, and I left the door open because he came out, and he'd go over along that stream and all along the bank and stuff. And King would be up there and stuff, and he'd come running back. At night, he'd be right back in his cage to sleep. In the morning, he'd get up and go out along the stream there, and he finally made it with a raccoon out there. And it was funny because they had little ones, and she'd follow him up through the trees